Alright guys, so in this video we're checking out the Hawkeye Little Pilot 4 FPV monitor. This is their latest and greatest. I think mainly the big difference between the 4 and the previous generation 3 is that they've now added the DVR functionality internally. So you can see there's a nice little slot here for a micro SD card for the DVR. You can put a up to a 32 gigabyte SD card in there, but I think it needs to be class 6 or better. 5-inch screen here, 800 by 480 resolution, pretty bright, 700, I think 700 nits, so it's you can see it in some pretty bright sunlight even outside. Dual diversity receivers here, so you got two completely separate receivers. Got a circular polarized and a linear antenna that is included. RPSMA antennas, pretty thin profile. It's about 220 grams in terms of weight. A tripod mount here on the bottom, very nice for that. Built-in battery. It lasts about 2.5 to 3 hours according to the specifications. I haven't actually run the battery all the way down, but I haven't even charged it that many times. You got a few function buttons here on the side, volume up and down, plus and minus buttons for the menus, and then your power button. Then you have your record button here for your DVR. I think this here is AV out, and then this here is AV in. You do get a couple of cables included for that. So this one here, I think it goes like this. This is for AV out. If you want to record to an external DVR, you get basically it's power ground and video like this. If you don't want to use the internal DVR, I'll explain that and why you might want to do that a little later. And then this here is the AV in, and it goes right here. You can, if you launched AV in function, you can then get the video signal here and show it on the screen if you want. Okay, so you got a micro USB port here for charging. They don't include that, but yeah, pretty much any wall charger will work, like with say like 2 amps, and it does take a fair amount of time. The battery I think in here is pretty big. So this does have 2 speakers here on the back. So if you have a video transmitter that transmits audio, you'll be able to hear that, and the DVR does record that as well. A couple other things to note in the box: you do get this mount here, and I guess it holds the monitor like this. And this will go to like your transmitter, and it will hook onto the transmitter handle here like this. So you can actually put this, if you have a transmitter, up on top or to the side and be able to fly through the monitor itself. The latency is, I think, okay. I can fly no problem with it. I can actually hit tiny whip gates, so I didn't notice any latency in terms of it hindering my flying ability. So if you do want to fly through a monitor, pretty rare these days anyone does that, but yeah, you can do that, of course. And I think a lot of people that fly airplanes will find this be no problem, and this is actually probably one of the use cases for this one is going to be for those pilots that fly airplanes via FPV. So you do get a pretty good manual here. It's in English and in Chinese. I'm not going to go over everything in the manual, but I just explained a few of the functions, but they are explained pretty well in the manual. So if you have some further questions, you should be able to consult that. But let's just go over how this functions real quick. Powered on, you press and hold the power button, and you get a little splash screen. And you can see once it's powered on, you have your battery voltage here. So we're at 4.0 some volts, and when it's fully charged, I think it's like 4.2 volts. Power on time over here, and then this here in the upper right is the RSSI for the 2 antennas, left and right. So obviously it's very low right now, but if you're really close to a strong signal, it'll be obviously like 99, and then you have an image here. Alright, so I powered on a video source here. You can see we have 99 for the RSSI. It's like right next to me, it's right over here. And the image is pretty decent. This is the Runcam Nano 3 from the Mobula 6 camera. And you can see it's pretty bright. And the resolution is not bad. I mean, it's not too grainy. Now if you want to start recording that video source, you just have to press the record button. Just tap it, and you'll see an R here in the upper left corner. That means it's recording. And then when you want to stop recording, you just press the R button again, and that'll go away, and that means it's not recording. To get into the main menu, you just tap the power button. And then to go through each one of these one by one, like band, brightness, contrast, you just keep pressing the power button, the short presses, to go through the whole menu. And then if you want to select something, you press the, I think it's the minus button. So we'll go here to the exit, hit minus, and that exits out. So if you want to go back in here and change your band, for example. See, there we go, D, C, B. So these letters don't correspond exactly to what, like for example, E is actually not the E band, it's actually the R band, 56, 58, and the menu will just time out after a while. But if you want to, say, change your brightness, you just go there, and then you can increase the brightness here or decrease it. So I actually have mine set to pretty low because it's actually super bright. I reduced it because on the camera it just looks overexposed, it's so bright. And we just you can go through these other settings here. There's like display, sharpness. If you want to turn the OSD on and off, you can do that here. That's the top menu bar there. You can actually turn the actually speaker off here. So actually I don't have that on because it's actually pretty noisy. You can see it's quite, if you don't have an actual audio source, it's just get a bunch of static. And then down here you can change the time and date. I think that's for the DVR. If you want to change the default settings, you can go to this setting right here. It says default, and then format is to format the SD card. I recommend that you do that before you start recording anything. So if you want to get into the DVR menu, just long press the minus button. This goes into the what's called the RAM buffer, or the DVR menu. And to start playing, you tap then, you can start and stop playing the, or pause the video by tapping the R button here. And you can see this is the last file that I recorded. And that's to play and to pause. If you want to go to the next file, you hit the minus button. So this is another file here. There's 4 files currently on here, but let's go to the second one here, and then we'll start playing this one. There doesn't seem to be a way to fast forward and go reverse in this. I just haven't been able to figure it out yet. So there's a bit of a downside on the DVR files. Now, the files themselves are kind of strange. So it does record NTSC files in 720 by 240, which is like really squished down, and PAL is 720 by 288. And I think it records NTSC at 60 frames per second and PAL at 50 frames per second. So it's a nice, I mean, it's a nice image looking at it when you're playing back on the monitor. But if you take the files off onto your computer, you do have to use Handbrake to re-encode the file so that you can actually use it in a video editor. As it is, as you take it off the SD card, it seems like it's a corrupted file. You have to actually transcode it to use it in any kind of video editing software. Anyway, so in terms of like overall range, I think that these receivers are okay. They're probably on par with, you know, they say above average or above average or whatever is out there right now. I didn't do any extensive testing to see how far this would actually go, but I think it's going to more depend on the antennas here and also your video transmitter. So if you're using this, say, for long-range FPV for airplanes, obviously if you have some sort of really high-powered video transmitter, say like, you know, 800 milliwatts, and you have good antennas on here, like good patch antennas, for example, I think your range is going to be plenty, even on something like Crossfire, probably several kilometers. Obviously, if there's things in the way, you have like buildings or whatever, I don't think that, you know, this is not like rapid fire where you can actually get like really good video signal in areas that have a lot of multipath interference. This is not probably for that. So, but in terms of like it being on par with most other dual diversity FPV receivers out there, this is probably as good or better than most is out there. So overall, even though it has a few, you know, quirks here and there, I think this is probably one of the best FPV monitors currently available. Obviously the video file being kind of strange does make it a little bit cumbersome to use if you are using it to record and then share those videos out, you know, to like Facebook or Instagram or on YouTube. It does take a little bit extra work, but in terms of this functionality, I like the fact that, you know, the battery's internal, has built-in DVR, dual diversity receivers, a tripod mount. It's fairly easy to use, bright screen, no latency as far as I can tell, and pretty decent range. This is probably going to be my go-to FPV monitor. I have a bunch of other ones that I've been kind of using. There's like limitations. For example, you know, this one from LDARC, it's very good, but it's only got a single receiver and no built-in DVR. So even though it's got a built-in battery, you know, this has, you know, there's certain limitations on where and how you use it. But like this is going to be kind of useful pretty much in a lot of situations, like out in the field or on the bench. So this is one that I'm going to be keeping around for a while. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.